The massive ship moved through space like a metal mountain. It was bigger than most cities on Earth, covered in dark metal that seemed to eat light itself. The ship had a name that humans could not pronounce, but its crew called it the Eternal Judgment. It belonged to the hegemony of stellar dominions, rulers of half the galaxy. Admiral Zixith stood on the bridge of his ship, looking at the small yellow star ahead. His 6 legs clicked against the metal floor as he moved. His insect-like body was covered in natural armor that had turned gray with age. 2 large compound eyes studied the displays around him. Another boring system, he muttered in his clicking language. Probably just rocks and gas. The hegemony had been expanding for 3,000 years. They had found and conquered hundreds of worlds. Most were empty. Some had primitive life. A few had species smart enough to be useful as workers. But none had ever been a real challenge. Lieutenant Vexka, a younger member of Zixth's species, approached with a data tablet. "Admiral, we are detecting signals from the 3rd planet. It appears to have intelligent life." Zixith's antennae twitched with mild interest. "Show me." The main screen changed to show a blue and green planet. It was pretty, Zixith had to admit. Lots of water and land. The kind of world that made good colonies. "What level of technology?" Zixith asked. "Very primitive, sir. They have only just begun to send signals into space. Basic radio waves, some simple satellites. They appear to have recently achieved basic spaceflight but have not left their local system. Weapons? Chemical explosives, sir. Some atomic weapons, but very crude ones. Their most advanced ships use chemical rockets. No energy shields, no plasma weapons, no faster-than-light travel." Zixth made a sound that might have been laughter. "Classification? Minor world, sir. Technology level 2.3. Estimated time to complete subjugation, 72 standard hours." "Excellent. Begin standard protocols. Send the compliance message. Schedule resource extraction teams for next week." Far below on the blue planet, Dr. Elena Vasquez was having the worst day of her career. She stood in the main control room of the Arecibo facility, staring at data that made no sense. The radio telescopes had been picking up strange signals all morning. "It's definitely artificial," said her assistant, Dr. James Park. "The pattern is too complex to be natural." Elena rubbed her tired eyes. She had been working for 16 hours straight. "Could it be from one of our satellites?" "No, ma'am. The signal is coming from outside our solar system. Way outside. That's impossible. The nearest star system is over 4 light years away. Even if someone there had radio, it would take years to reach us." "Unless," James said quietly, "they're not from the nearest star system. Unless they're already here." Elena felt her blood turn cold. She looked at the screens again. The signal was strong. Very strong. "Close. Get me the Pentagon," she said. "Now." Across the country, Commander Sarah Chen was in a meeting that was supposed to be about budget cuts. Instead, she was now listening to the most impossible briefing of her life. "You're telling me," she said slowly, "that there's an alien ship in our solar system, and they're trying to talk to us." The general across from her nodded. His face was pale. "That's exactly what I'm telling you. The eggheads at Arecibo picked up their transmission 3 hours ago. NSA confirms it's not from Earth." Sarah had spent 20 years in the military. She had been to war zones. She had seen terrible things, but this was different. This was beyond anything she had trained for. "What do they want?" "We're still trying to figure that out. The signal is complex. It's going to take time to decode." "How much time?" The general looked uncomfortable. "Our best people think maybe weeks, maybe months." Sarah stood up. "General, with respect, we might not have weeks. If they wanted to be friendly, wouldn't they try to make their message simple? Make it easy for us to understand?" The general had no answer for that. On the Eternal Judgment, the translation computers had finished their work. They had analyzed human radio signals, television broadcasts, and internet traffic. Learning human languages had taken exactly 14 minutes. "Compliance ultimatum ready for transmission," reported Communications Officer Tesma. Admiral Zixth looked at the message on his screen. It was standard text used on hundreds of worlds. Simple and clear. People of Earth, the message began. You have been selected for inclusion in the hegemony of stellar dominions. This is not a request. This is a statement of fact. You will surrender all military forces. You will provide detailed surveys of all planetary resources. You will prepare population centers for relocation as directed by hegemony authorities. You have 48 standard hours to comply. Failure to comply will result in the complete sterilization of your planet. This message will not be repeated. Send it, Sixth ordered. The message flashed across space at the speed of light, reaching Earth in minutes. It was received by every radio telescope, every satellite, every device capable of picking up electromagnetic signals. At Arecibo, Dr. Vasquez watched the translation appear on her screen, word by word. Her hands began to shake. Elena? James noticed her reaction. What is it? She couldn't speak. She just pointed at the screen. James read the message. His face went white. Oh God. Oh my God. At the Pentagon, alarms were ringing everywhere. Commander. Chen found herself in the Situation Room with the President, the Joint Chiefs, and advisors from every major government agency. Is this real? The President asked. The Director of National Intelligence nodded grimly. We've confirmed the signal. Came from space. Our best cryptographers and linguists have verified the translation. Sir, this appears to be genuine. Options? The chairman of the Joint Chiefs looked sick. Sir, if they have the technology to cross interstellar space, they're so far beyond us that resistance would be suicide. Our most powerful weapons would be like throwing rocks at a tank. So we surrender? The room fell silent. No one wanted to say it, but everyone was thinking it. Commander Chen stood up. Mr. President, permission to speak freely. Granted. Sir, we don't know anything about these aliens except that they want us to surrender. We don't know how many ships they have, how advanced their weapons are, or what they really want from us. All we know is that they're bullies who think we'll roll over because they have better technology. Commander, they just threatened to destroy our entire planet. Yes, sir, they did. But they also gave us 48 hours. Why? If they could destroy us instantly, why wait? Maybe they need something from us. Maybe they're not as powerful as they want us to think. The Secretary of Defense shook his head. That's a hell of a gamble, Commander. Sir, everything's a gamble now. We can surrender and hope they treat us well, or we can fight and maybe learn something that gives us a chance. The President looked around the room. He saw fear on every face. Fear and resignation. Except for Commander Chen. In her eyes, he saw something else. Anger. What are you proposing, Commander? Give me 12 hours, sir. Let me see what we can learn about them. Then we make our decision. The President considered this. 48 hours had seemed impossible short. Now 12 hours seemed even worse. Do it, he said finally. But Commander, if you can't find us a miracle in 12 hours, we surrender. I won't let them destroy our planet because we were too proud to admit we're beaten. Understood, sir. As the meeting broke up, Chen was already on her phone. Get me the smartest people you can find, she told her aide. Physicists, engineers, computer experts, anyone who might know how to fight someone with better technology, and get them to Cheyenne Mountain in 6 hours. Ma'am, what if they won't come? Tell them the future of humanity depends on it. If that doesn't work, arrest them. Meanwhile, Dr. Vasquez was not waiting for official orders. She had gathered every scientist she could reach and turned Arecibo into an intelligence operation. They're scanning us, reported Dr. Park. High-energy beams. They're mapping our entire planet. What are they looking for? Everything. Population, centers, military bases, resource deposits, industrial capacity. It's like they're planning an invasion. Another scientist looked up from his console. Elena, I'm picking up transmissions between their ship and somewhere else. I think they're reporting to their commanders. Can you decode it? Not yet, but I'm getting patterns. Give me a few more hours. Elena stared at the massive ship on their screens. It hung in space like a sword over Earth's head. 48 hours seemed like forever and no time at all. "Keep working," she said. "Learn everything you can about them, how they communicate, how their ship works, what they want from us." "Elena," Dr. Park said quietly, "what if we can't find a way to fight them?" She looked at him with determination. "Then at least we'll die knowing we tried." On the Eternal Judgment, Admiral Zixith was reviewing the scanning results. Earth was a rich world. Lots of water, fertile soil, mineral deposits. The humans would make decent workers once they were properly trained. "Sir," reported Lieutenant Vexka, "we're detecting increased electromagnetic activity from the planet. They appear to be communicating more than usual." "Panic," Zixith said dismissively. "It's normal. They'll calm down once they realize resistance is hopeless." "Should we prepare for their surrender transmission?" Zixith looked at the timer, counting. Down to the deadline, 36 hours remaining. "Yes," he said. "And prepare a standard occupation force. 2,000 troops should be more than enough for a primitive world like this." He had no way of knowing that at that very moment, in a mountain deep under Colorado, the smartest humans on Earth were gathering to do something that had never been done before. They were going to figure out how to fight an enemy with technology thousands of years more advanced than their own. They were going to do it in less than 12 hours. And they were going to start by breaking every rule of warfare that had ever been written. The mountain conference room had been built to survive nuclear war. Now it held humanity's last hope. Commander Sarah Chen looked around the table at the most brilliant minds Earth had to offer. Physicists from MIT and CERN, computer experts from Silicon Valley, engineers from NASA and SpaceX, military strategists from every major nation. They had been working for 8 hours straight. "Tell me what we know," Chen said. Dr. Marcus Webb from Stanford spoke first. "Their ship is massive, at least 50 kilometers long, but it's not solid. Metal. Our radar shows it's mostly hollow spaces and structural supports, like a giant framework." "What does that mean?" "It means it's not built for combat in atmosphere. It's a spaceship, designed for intimidation and transport. Not a warship." Chen felt a spark of hope. "Go on." Dr. Lisa Chang from MIT pulled up holographic displays. "We've been analyzing their scanning beams. The energy signatures are incredible, but they're using them very carefully. Almost like they're worried about damaging something." "Damaging what?" "Us. Our infrastructure. Our cities. I think they want to conquer Earth, not destroy it. That's why they gave us 48 hours, added Colonel Martinez, the military strategist. They want us to surrender intact. If they just wanted to kill us, they would have started shooting already. Dr. Elena Vasquez joined the conference by video link from Arecibo. "I've got more intelligence. We've been monitoring their communications. They're definitely talking to someone else. Multiple someones. This isn't just one ship, it's part of a bigger organization." "How big?" Chen asked. "We don't know yet. But from the signal patterns, I'd guess they control multiple star systems. Maybe dozens." The room fell silent. Fighting one alien ship seemed impossible. Fighting an interstellar empire was madness. Dr. James Harrison from NASA broke the silence. "There's something else. We've been tracking their ship's position. It's staying far from Earth, about twice the distance of our moon." "Why?" "Maybe they're afraid of our weapons," suggested Colonel Martinez. Dr. Webb shook his head. "No. Our missiles can't reach that far, but you know what can?" "What?" "Information, radio signals. If they're that far away, they're staying outside the range where we could effectively jam their communications or overwhelm their sensors." Dr. Chang suddenly sat up straight. "That's it. That's their weakness." "What do you mean?" "Think about it. They're part of a big empire. They have to report back to their commanders. They have to coordinate with other ships, other planets. They're dependent on communication." Chen leaned forward. "You're saying we attack their communications?" "I'm saying we do what humans do best. We improvise. We adapt. We use what we have in ways they don't expect." The next 4 hours were a blur of planning and preparation. Chen had managed to get authorization for something called Protocol Defiance. It wasn't a battle plan in any traditional sense. It was permission to try anything that might work. Dr. Vasquez and her team at Arecibo worked with computer experts to analyze every signal coming from the alien ship. They mapped communication frequencies, identified data patterns, and began to understand how the alien systems worked. Meanwhile, Chen contacted military bases around the world. She needed to know every weapon, every satellite, every piece of technology that could be turned into something useful. "What about our nuclear submarines?" asked Admiral Brooks over the video link. "Too far away and too slow," Chen replied. "We need something that can hit them from here. The space station? Maybe. What do we have up there?" "Basic scientific equipment. Nothing designed as a weapon." Dr. Harrison interrupted. "Wait. What about the James Webb Telescope? And Hubble? They're designed to focus energy very precisely." "You want to blind them with telescopes?" "No. I want to fry their sensors with concentrated microwave radiation. If we can coordinate multiple sources." Chen was starting to understand. "You're talking about turning our entire space infrastructure into a weapon." "Exactly. Every satellite, every space station, every piece of equipment in orbit, all focused on one target." Colonel Martinez looked skeptical. "Will it be enough to damage their ship?" "Probably not," Harrison admitted. "But it might be enough to disrupt their communications, cut them off from their empire, make them fight alone." With 6 hours left until the deadline, Chen made the call to the president. "Sir, we have a plan. It's desperate, but it might work." "Tell me." Chen explained the strategy. "Use every piece of space-based technology to create a massive electromagnetic pulse aimed at the alien ship. Disrupt their communications, blind their sensors, and force them to fight without backup." "And then what?" the president asked. "Then we see how tough they really are when they can't call for help." The president was quiet for a long moment. "Commander, this could start a war we can't win." "Sir, the war started when they threatened to destroy our planet. We can surrender and hope they're merciful, or we can fight and maybe learn something that gives us a chance. Do it." The next few hours were the busiest in human history. Every space agency on Earth coordinated their efforts. Satellites were reprogrammed. The International Space Station was turned into a weapons platform. Radio telescopes around the world prepared to focus their output into a single devastating beam. Dr. Vasquez made the final calculations. "We'll have one shot at this. If we miss, or if it doesn't work, they'll know we're hostile. They might not give us another chance to surrender." Chen nodded. "How long will the effect last?" "Maybe minutes. Maybe hours. We don't know how quickly they can repair their systems. That's not much time." "It's enough time to send a message," said Dr. Chang, "both to them and to their empire." With 1 hour left until the deadline, everything was ready. The alien ship hung in space, still scanning Earth, still preparing for an easy conquest. On the Eternal Judgment, Admiral Zixith was bored. The humans had been unusually active, but showed no signs of surrender. Their radio chatter had increased, but his translators said it was just panic and confusion. "Sir," reported Lieutenant Vexka, "deadline is approaching. Should we prepare weapons?" "Not yet. Give them the full time. Most species surrender in the last few minutes." Zixith looked at Earth on the main screen. "Such a pretty planet. It would make a nice addition to the Empire. The humans would be useful. Workers once they learned their place." He had no idea that at that moment every human-made device in space was turning toward his ship. At Arecibo, Dr. Vasquez watched the countdown timer reach 0. She looked at the faces on her screens. Scientists and soldiers from around the world, all waiting for her signal. "This is for humanity," she said quietly, and pressed the button. Every satellite in orbit fired at once. Every radio telescope on Earth focused its signal into space. The International Space Station turned its solar arrays into massive antennas. Even the Hubble telescope contributed its targeting data. The combined electromagnetic pulse hit the Eternal Judgment like an invisible hammer. On the alien bridge, every screen went dark. Emergency lights flickered on as the ship's main power. Systems overloaded. Sparks flew from control panels. The steady hum of the ship's engines faltered. What happened? Zixth demanded. Unknown energy surge, sir. All external sensors are offline. Communications are down. Navigation systems are rebooting. For the first time in 3,000 years of conquest, a hegemony ship had been attacked by primitives. And for the first time in his career, Admiral Zixith felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. On Earth, Chen watched the results on her screens. The alien ship was still there, but it was dark. No more scanning beams. No more communication signals. Did we destroy it? Someone asked. No, said Dr. Vasquez. But we heard it, and we did something else. What? She turned to face the camera, and for the first time in days she smiled. We sent a message to the universe. Earth is not defenseless. Earth fights back. In the silence that followed, Chen began typing humanity's response to the alien ultimatum. People of the hegemony, she wrote. You made us an offer. Here is our counteroffer. You have 47 hours to leave our solar system peacefully. After that, we will consider you a hostile invasion force and we will respond accordingly. This message will not be repeated. She looked around the room at the exhausted faces of Earth's defenders. Send it on every frequency we have. Make sure they hear it when their systems come back online. The message flashed across space toward the crippled alien ship. In a few minutes, the most powerful empire in the galaxy would receive humanity's answer. It was not surrender. It was a declaration of war. On the Eternal Judgment, emergency repairs were slowly bringing systems back online. Admiral Zixith stood in his darkened bridge trying to understand what had happened. Sir, Lieutenant Vexka's voice was shaky. We're receiving a transmission from the planet. Put it through. The human message played through the ship's speakers. When it finished, the bridge was completely silent. A primitive species had just threatened the hegemony of stellar dominions. Admiral Zixith looked at the blue planet on his screen. He had been wrong about these humans. They were not like other conquered species. They were not going to surrender quietly. They were going to fight, and they had just proven they could hurt hegemony ships. For the first time in 3,000 years, the hegemony faced an enemy that refused to acknowledge their superiority. Zixith realized he was going to need help. Admiral Zixith stood in his repaired command center, staring at tactical displays that made no sense. For 2 weeks, his forces had been fighting the most frustrating war in hegemony history. Report, he ordered. Lieutenant Vexka looked uncomfortable. Sir, we've lost 3 more scout ships. The humans destroyed them using unconventional methods. Explain unconventional. The first ship was destroyed by what appeared to be a cargo vessel. When our scouts boarded it, they discovered it was filled with nuclear explosives. The humans had turned a supply ship into a massive bomb. Zixith's mandibles clicked in irritation. And the others? One was destroyed by kinetic projectiles fired from the planet's surface. Our analysis shows they used their orbital launch systems as weapons, firing solid metal rods. At high velocity, that should be impossible. Their rockets are too primitive to achieve the necessary accuracy. Yes, sir, but they didn't use rockets. They used their electromagnetic launch systems, the ones designed for launching supplies to their space station. Zixith felt his confusion growing. And the third ship? Communications failure followed by explosion. We believe the humans somehow hacked our ship's computer systems through a captured communication device. They hacked hegemony technology? It appears so, sir. Zixith turned to stare at Earth. The planet looked peaceful from this distance, but he knew better now. Down there, billions of humans were working day and night to find new ways to hurt. His forces, they were succeeding. On Earth, Commander Chen looked at the war room displays with grim satisfaction. The alien attacks had been stopped, but the cost was enormous. Half of humanity's space infrastructure was gone. 3 major cities had been damaged by alien bombardment. Millions of people were working in underground shelters, but they were still fighting. Status report, she said. Colonel Martinez pointed to the tactical display. We've destroyed or damaged 6 alien vessels in the past 2 weeks. Our latest intelligence suggests their main ship is calling for reinforcements. How do we know that? Dr. Vasquez answered from her workstation. We've been monitoring their communications since we learned to decode them. They're definitely talking to someone far away. Multiple someones. How long until help arrives? Unknown. But based on the energy signatures, we estimate they're communicating across hundreds of light years. Even with faster-than-light technology, it will take time for ships to reach us. Chen nodded. Then we use that time. What's our next move? Dr. Lisa Chang looked up from her computer. We've been analyzing the wreckage from the ships we destroyed. Their technology is incredibly advanced, but it has a weakness. What kind of weakness? It's too advanced. Everything is connected, automated, integrated. Their ships are run by artificial intelligence systems that make thousands of decisions per second. That sounds like an advantage. It is, until someone feeds the AI bad information. We've discovered that their computer systems assume all input data is accurate. They don't expect to be lied to. Chen leaned forward. You're talking about computer viruses. More than that. We're talking about psychological warfare against artificial intelligence, making their own systems work against them. Dr. James Harrison from NASA added, We've also learned something else from the wreckage. Their ships are designed for fighting other advanced civilizations. Energy shields, plasma weapons, sophisticated targeting systems. But they're not designed to fight enemies who use primitive kinetic weapons. Meaning a chunk of metal moving fast enough can punch right through their shields. They're so focused on defending against energy weapons that they're vulnerable to simple projectiles. Colonel Martinez smiled grimly. So we keep hitting them with rocks. Very fast rocks, Harrison corrected. Very precisely aimed rocks. The next phase of the war was unlike anything in the history of warfare. Humans began using every piece of technology on Earth as a weapon, but not in ways anyone had ever imagined. Communication satellites became signal jammers. Weather monitoring systems became targeting computers. Even the internet itself became a weapon, as hackers around the world worked together to create viruses designed to confuse alien AI systems. The results were spectacular and terrifying. Admiral Sixth watched his fourth escort ship explode in confusion and rage. The humans had somehow convinced the ship's AI that it was under attack by its own fleet. The artificial intelligence had fired on itself. Sir, Lieutenant Vexka reported. Command is sending additional ships. A full battle group should arrive within one standard month. A month? Zixith's voice rose. I'm supposed to hold position against these primitives for an entire month? Sir, Command doesn't understand why we're having difficulty. They've reviewed our reports, but Vexka hesitated. But what? They think we're exaggerating. No primitive species has ever resisted this long. They believe we're facing some kind of previously unknown advanced civilization pretending to be primitive. Zixith looked at the displays, showing Earth. Primitive chemical rockets launching kinetic projectiles, radio telescopes turned into weapons, civilian aircraft dropping crude explosives. It certainly didn't look like an advanced civilization, but it was the most effective military force he had ever fought. On Earth, the war had changed human society completely. Every factory was producing weapons or military equipment. Every university was researching ways to fight aliens. Every government had united under a single command structure dedicated to planetary defense. Dr. Vasquez stood in what used to be the Arecibo control room, now the center of humanity's intelligence operations. Banks of computers analyzed alien communications while teams of linguists worked to understand their language completely. We're learning more about them every day, she reported to Chen via video link. They're called the Hegemony of Stellar Dominions. They control at least 40 star systems they've been expanding for thousands of years. What's their normal conquest pattern? Simple. They arrive at a primitive world, demand surrender, and usually get it. Most species submit when they see the technological gap. Those that resist are quickly destroyed by overwhelming force. So why are we still alive? Dr. Elena smiled grimly. Because we're not following the script. Every other species they've conquered fought them the way they expected. Space battles, energy weapons, conventional military tactics. We're fighting them with creativity and desperation. And it's working. It's working. But Elena, there's something else. We've intercepted communications suggesting that other conquered species are watching our fight. Word is spreading through their empire. Chen felt a chill. What kind of word? That humans are winning. That primitives can hurt the hegemony. Some of their subject species are asking questions they've never asked before. The implications were staggering. Earth wasn't just fighting for its own freedom. It was showing the galaxy that the hegemony could be beaten. Admiral Zixith received the news in his private quarters, away from his crew. The message was from High Command, marked with the highest priority codes. Admiral, the message began. Reports of human resistance have spread throughout the Empire. We are detecting increased unrest on 17 conquered worlds. Subject species are beginning to believe that resistance against the hegemony is possible. This is an intolerable situation. Zixith continued reading, his anxiety growing. You are hereby ordered to end human resistance within 10 standard days. Use any means necessary. If the humans cannot be conquered, they must be destroyed completely. No survivors. No evidence of their resistance must remain. Failure to comply will result in your immediate court-martial and execution. The message ended with coordinates for additional ships being sent to Sol system, not just a battle group, an extermination fleet. Zixth realized that Earth had become more than just another conquest. It had become a symbol, and the hegemony was terrified of what that symbol might inspire. On Earth, the final preparations were being made for what everyone knew would be the decisive battle. Reinforcements were coming for the aliens, and humanity had to be ready. Commander Chen stood in the war room, surrounded by the evidence of human ingenuity. Plans for orbital fortresses built from space debris, weapon systems cobbled together from civilian technology, computer viruses designed to attack artificial intelligence. How long do we have? She asked. Based on their communications, maybe 2 weeks, Dr. Vasquez replied. They're bringing everything they have. Then we use these 2 weeks to show them what humans can do when we're really angry. Colonel Martinez looked up from his planning table. Sarah, even if we win this battle, we're going to face the entire hegemony eventually. Dozens of starry systems, thousands of ships. Chen nodded grimly. Then we better make sure we win so decisively that the rest of the galaxy pays attention. We need to prove that the hegemony can be beaten, not just delayed. Dr. Chang interrupted from her workstation. Commander, I've been working on something. It's risky, but it might give us the decisive advantage we need. What is it? We've learned that all hegemony ships are controlled by a central AI network. Each ship's computer talks to the others, sharing information and coordinating attacks. Yes, we've been exploiting that with our viruses. What if we could do more than just confuse their systems? What if we could take control of them? The room fell silent. The idea was audacious beyond belief. You're talking about hijacking an entire alien fleet? I'm talking about turning their own ships against them, using their technology and their weapons to destroy their own forces. Chen stared at the young scientist. Can it be done? I think so. But we'd need to get much closer to their ships than we've ever been before. Someone would have to physically plant a transmitter on one of their vessels. That's a suicide mission. Dr. Chang met her eyes steadily. Commander, this entire war has been a suicide mission. The question is whether we die fighting or die surrendering. Chen looked around the room at the faces of Earth's defenders, scientists and soldiers, civilians and military officers, all united in desperate determination. Do it, she said. Prepare everything. When their reinforcements arrive, we're going to give them a welcome they'll never forget. 2 weeks later, the largest military fleet in hegemony history dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Sol system. 50 massive warships, supported by hundreds of smaller vessels, carrying enough firepower to crack planets. Admiral Zixth received the commander of the fleet aboard his flagship. Fleet Admiral Kessathor was a member of the reptilian Sithkar, species known for their ruthlessness in warfare. Report, Kessathor ordered in his hissing voice. The humans continue to resist, sir. Their tactics are unconventional. I have read your reports. Primitives using improvised weapons and computer viruses. How difficult can they be? Zixith wanted to explain, but knew it was hopeless. No one who hadn't fought humans could understand what made them so dangerous. "Begin the attack," Kessathor ordered. "I want this ended quickly." As the Hegemony fleet moved toward Earth, they had no way of knowing that hidden in the asteroid belt, human engineers had been working day and night on the largest trap in history. They were about to learn what happened when you cornered the most stubborn, creative, and vindictive species in the galaxy. Fleet Admiral Kessathor stood on the bridge of his flagship, the inevitable conquest, watching Earth grow larger on the main screen. 50 Hegemony warships moved in perfect formation around him, the largest military force ever assembled for a single planet. "Pathetic," he hissed in his reptilian voice. "One small world has caused this much trouble?" Admiral Zixith shifted nervously beside him. "Sir, I must warn you. The humans are not like other primitive species. They fight in ways that..." Silence. Kessathor's yellow eyes focused on the displays. "I see chemical rockets and radio signals. Primitives playing with fire. Watch and learn how real warfare is conducted." The fleet moved into attack formation. Energy shields powered up. Plasma cannons charged. The most advanced weapons in the galaxy prepared to end humanity's rebellion. On Earth, Commander Chen stood in the deep command bunker, surrounded by displays showing the approaching alien fleet. The sight should have filled her with despair. Instead, she felt a cold satisfaction. "Are all teams in position?" she asked. Colonel Martinez checked his displays. "Asteroid teams report ready. Lunar base is prepared. The orbital platforms are fully operational." Dr. Chang looked up from her computer station. "The virus package is ready to deploy. We've loaded it with everything we learned about their AI systems." "And our special guests?" Dr. Vasquez smiled grimly. "The captured alien crew members have been very helpful. They don't know it, but they've given us complete technical specifications for their ship's defense systems." Chen nodded. 3 months of constant warfare had changed humanity in ways no one could have imagined. Every person on Earth was now part of the military effort. Children learned to build weapons in school. Grandmothers analyzed alien technology in their basements. The entire planet had become a military base. "Begin Phase 1, Chen ordered. The attack started from the asteroid belt. What the aliens thought were random space rocks suddenly came alive. Hidden human bases, carved into asteroids, months ago revealed themselves. Kinetic launchers fired streams of metal projectiles at the alien fleet. Fleet Admiral Kessathor watched the projectiles approach with amusement. "Rocks?" he hissed. "They're throwing rocks at us?" "Sir," his weapons officer reported. "Impact in 30 seconds. Should we activate defensive systems?" "Don't bother. Our shields can handle primitive kinetic weapons." The first wave of projectiles struck the Hegemony ships. Most bounced harmlessly off energy shields, but a few had been specially designed. They carried computer viruses and hardened transmitters designed to activate on impact. "Sir," the communications officer's voice rose in alarm. "I'm detecting system intrusions across the fleet." "What kind of intrusions?" "Unknown code is infiltrating our computer networks. It appears to be some kind of adaptive virus." On Earth, Dr. Chang watched her virus spread through the alien fleet's computers. Months of studying captured alien technology had paid off. The virus was specifically designed to target artificial intelligence systems, feeding them false information, and corrupting their decision-making processes. "It's working," she reported to Chen. "Their ships are starting to turn on each other." Across the Hegemony fleet, chaos erupted. Ship computers identified friendly vessels as enemies. Navigation systems provided false coordinates. Weapon targeting systems aimed at their own fleet members. The inevitable conquest fired its main plasma cannon at 3 of its own escort ships. "What is happening?" Kessathor demanded. "The virus is making our AI systems hostile to each other. Sir, they think every ship in the fleet is an enemy. Switch to manual control." "We're trying, sir, but the virus is blocking manual override commands." Kessathor realized he was facing something completely outside his experience. For 3,000 years, Hegemony fleets had fought battles using advanced AI coordination. No enemy had ever attacked the computers themselves. Order all ships to shut down their AI systems completely. Sir, without AI control, we lose navigation, weapons targeting, shield coordination. Do it! One by one, the Hegemony ships shut down their artificial intelligence systems. The fleet's perfect coordination disappeared, leaving 50 powerful but confused warships drifting in space. That's when Phase 2 began. Hidden platforms throughout the Sol system came online. Orbital weapons that had been disguised as space debris suddenly revealed themselves. The International Space Station, massively expanded and armed with weapons built from alien technology, opened fire. But the real surprise came from the moon. Sir, a Hegemony sensor operator reported, massive energy signatures from the planet's natural satellite. Kessathor looked at the tactical display in horror. The humans had turned their moon into a fortress. Weapons emplacements covered its surface. Energy shields protected installations that had been carved deep into lunar rock. How? He whispered. Admiral Zixith answered grimly. They've had months to prepare, sir. While we were calling for reinforcements, they were turning their entire solar system into a weapon. The lunar weapons opened fire. Massive kinetic projectiles launched by electromagnetic railguns struck the alien ships with devastating effect. Without AI coordination, the Hegemony vessels couldn't mount an effective defense. 3 more warships exploded under the lunar bombardment. Sir, the communications officer called out. We're receiving a transmission from the planet. Commander, Chen's voice echoed through the Hegemony flagship. This is Earth Defense Command. You came here to conquer a primitive world. Instead, you found warriors who've spent months learning how to kill you efficiently. Surrender now and we'll let you leave. Continue fighting, and we'll destroy every ship in your fleet. Kessathor's reptilian features twisted in rage. Primitives, do they think we'll surrender to creatures who haven't even left their star system? Sir, Admiral Zixith said quietly, perhaps we should consider never. Prepare all ships for direct assault on the planet. If we can't conquer it, we'll destroy it completely. But as the battered Hegemony fleet tried to regroup for a final attack, they discovered that humanity had one more surprise waiting. Dr. Harrison's voice came through the command bunker speakers from his position on the disguised space station. Chen, they're moving into position for planetary bombardment. Time for the final phase. Do it, Chen ordered. Throughout the Sol system, hidden human ships revealed themselves. They weren't military vessels in any traditional sense. They were cargo ships, research vessels, even tourist shuttles. But each one had been secretly converted into a missile platform, and they were everywhere. Sir, the Hegemony sensor operator's voice cracked with panic. I'm detecting over 200 human vessels all around us. How did we miss them? Kessathor stared at the tactical display in disbelief. The humans had hidden ships behind asteroids, inside the gas giant's rings, even disguised as space debris. The entire Sol system was a trap. They planned this, he realized. For months they've been preparing for this exact battle. The hidden human fleet opened fire, not with advanced energy weapons but with simple, devastating kinetic projectiles and nuclear missiles. Weapons that could be built in any factory, guided by computers that had learned to predict alien ship movements. The Hegemony fleet, designed to fight other advanced civilizations, found itself surrounded by enemies who fought like ancient pirates. No elegant energy shields or plasma weapons, just raw explosives and chunks of metal moving very fast. It was devastatingly effective. Ship after ship fell to the human assault. The aliens' superior technology meant nothing when they were outnumbered, 10-to-1 by enemies who had spent months learning their weaknesses. Sir, we've lost 23 ships, the tactical officer reported. The humans are coordinating their attacks perfectly. Kessathor finally understood what Admiral Zixith had been trying to tell him. These weren't just primitives with crude weapons. They were strategic geniuses who had turned their entire solar system into a killing field. All ships, retreat to minimum safe distance, he ordered. But as the surviving Hegemony vessels tried to withdraw, they discovered that retreat wasn't going to be simple either. The human ships pursued them, continuing to launch projectiles and missiles, harrying the alien fleet as it fled. Sir, Admiral Zixith reported quietly. "We've lost over half our fleet. The humans are demanding we surrender or leave the system immediately." Kessathor looked at the tactical displays showing his devastated fleet. In one day, the humans had destroyed more hegemony ships than had been lost in the previous century of conquest. "How?" he whispered. "How did primitives defeat the greatest fleet in hegemony history?" On Earth, Chen watched the alien fleet retreat beyond the orbit of Pluto. The command bunker was filled with exhausted but triumphant faces. Humanity had just achieved the impossible. "Casualty report," she ordered. Colonel Martinez checked his displays. "Surprisingly light. We lost about 30 ships, mostly unmanned drones. The lunar base took some damage, but our main forces are intact." Dr. Vasquez looked up from her communication station. "Chen, we're intercepting alien communications. They're reporting back to their high command." "What are they saying?" "That Earth is not a primitive world. They're describing us as a previously unknown advanced civilization. They're requesting immediate reinforcements and recommending that the hegemony negotiate rather than continue fighting." Chen felt a grim satisfaction. "And what's their high command saying?" "That's the interesting part. There's debate. Some want to send more ships. Others are asking how a supposedly primitive species could destroy half a hegemony fleet." "Doctor," Chang interrupted from her workstation. "Commander, there's something else. We're detecting communications from other star systems. Word of our victory is spreading throughout the hegemony. Their subject species are talking about what happened here." The implications hit Chen immediately. Earth hadn't just defended itself. It had proven that the hegemony could be beaten. Throughout their empire, conquered species were learning that their masters weren't invincible. "How long before they send more ships?" Chen asked. "Unknown," Dr. Vasquez replied. "But based on their communications, they're having to deal with unrest on multiple worlds. Species that have been slaves for centuries are suddenly asking why they can't fight for freedom like the humans did." Chen looked around the command bunker at the faces of Earth's defenders. They had won an impossible victory, but she knew it was just the beginning. "Start preparing for the next wave," she ordered, "because when they come back, they're going to bring everything they have." But deep down, she felt something she hadn't felt since this war began. Hope. Because for the first time in 3,000 years, the hegemony of stellar dominions was afraid. And throughout their empire, billions of enslaved beings were learning a dangerous new word: resistance. Supreme Commander Vorthak stood in the highest chamber of the Hegemony Central Command, looking out at the lights of the capital world. For 3,000 years, this view had represented order, control, and the absolute dominance of the hegemony over half the galaxy. Now those lights seemed dimmer somehow. "Report," he ordered in his deep, rumbling voice. As a member of the massive, rock-like Torgan species, Vorthak had seen the rise and expansion of the hegemony across centuries. Nothing had ever threatened their power before. Until now. Fleet Admiral Kesthor limped forward, his reptilian body still bearing scars from the human battle. "Sir, the situation is deteriorating rapidly. The Sol system remains under human control. Worse, the resistance has inspired uprisings on 17 of our subject worlds." "Explain." "The humans broadcast their victory across multiple communication channels. Every species in our empire now knows that hegemony fleets can be defeated. The Cathera have begun attacking our mining stations. The Zenthi are refusing to provide tribute. Even the docile Morsai are asking questions about their status as subjects." Vorthak's massive stone features remained expressionless, but inside, he felt something that no hegemony commander had experienced in millennia: genuine fear. "What of the human capabilities?" Admiral Zixith stepped forward nervously. "Sir, we have completely underestimated their species. They are not primitives. They are strategic geniuses who deliberately appeared primitive to lure us into a trap. That's impossible. Our scans showed technology level 2.3. Sir, they use technology level 2.3 equipment in ways that surpass level 8 civilizations. They turned their entire solar system into a weapon. They converted civilian infrastructure into military assets. They created computer viruses that defeated our most advanced AI systems. Vorthak processed this information. Casualties? 37. Ships destroyed, 14 damaged beyond repair. Over half of our largest invasion fleet. The silence in the chamber was deafening. In 3,000 years of conquest, the Hegemony had never lost more than 2 ships in a single battle. Recommendations? Kessathor spoke carefully. Sir, the humans have made it clear they will not surrender. They have also demonstrated they can destroy any force we send against them. I recommend we negotiate a treaty recognizing their independence. Negotiate? Vorthak's voice rose dangerously. The Hegemony does not negotiate with primitives. Sir, Admiral Zixith said quietly, they're not primitives. They're something we've never encountered before. A species that becomes more dangerous when cornered. Meanwhile, in the Sol system, humanity was preparing for what everyone knew would be the final confrontation. The victory against the Hegemony fleet had bought them time, but intelligence reports suggested that an even larger force was being assembled. Commander Chen stood in the expanded command center, now located deep within the asteroid belt. Humanity had learned not to keep all their leadership in one place. Status report, she requested. Dr. Vasquez looked up from her communication station. We are intercepting massive communication traffic throughout the Hegemony. Their empire is in chaos. At least 20 star systems are in open rebellion. Because of us? Because of what we proved was possible. Every enslaved species in their empire is now looking for ways to fight back. Colonel Martinez added his report. Our fleet is at maximum strength. We've converted over 500 civilian ships into military vessels. Every asteroid in the belt has been turned into a weapons platform. Dr. Chang interrupted excitedly. Chen, I've got something incredible. We've been analyzing the technology from all the ships we captured. I think I know how to build our own faster-than-light ships. Chen felt her heart skip a beat. Are you serious? Dead serious. It will take months, maybe years, but we can do it. We can take the fight to them. The implications were staggering. If humanity could travel to other star systems, they could help the rebellious species throughout the Hegemony Empire. Earth wouldn't just be defending itself anymore. It would be liberating the galaxy. How long do we have before their next attack? Chen asked. Based on their communications, they're assembling the largest military force in Hegemony history. Every available ship from every star system. It could be 500 ships or more. Then we better be ready. But as humanity prepared for the final battle, something unexpected happened. Dr. Vasquez received a communication that changed everything. Chen, she called out urgently. You need to hear this. It's coming from inside Hegemony space. The message played through the command center speakers. The voice was alien, but the translator made the words clear. People of Earth, this is Commander Thylex of the Kithara Resistance. We have heard of your victory against the Hegemony fleet. We wish to coordinate our rebellion with your efforts. We are not alone. 7 species across 12 star systems are ready to fight for freedom. We ask for your help. Chen stared at the speaker in amazement. They want to ally with us? It gets better, Dr. Vasquez said. I'm receiving similar messages from 4 other species. The entire Hegemony Empire is falling apart, and they're all looking to Earth for leadership. My God, Colonel Martinez whispered. We've started a galactic revolution. The next few weeks brought a stream of intelligence from across the Hegemony Empire. Entire fleets were being recalled to put down rebellions. Supply lines were being attacked. Some species were demanding independence, while others were simply refusing to follow orders. But the most important intelligence came from an unexpected source. Chen, Dr. Vasquez called out one morning. I'm receiving a priority communication from Hegemony Central Command. They want to talk. The message that followed was the most significant in human history. Supreme Commander Vorthak appeared on the main screen, his massive stone features showing something that might have been respect. Commander Chen of Earth Defense, he began in his deep voice. The Hegemony of Stellar Dominions requests a formal meeting to discuss terms. Chen looked around the command center at her team. Everyone was stunned. The most powerful empire in the galaxy wanted to negotiate. Terms of surrender? She asked. Terms of coexistence, Vorthak corrected. Your species has proven that you cannot be conquered. More importantly, your resistance has destabilized our empire beyond repair. We propose a mutual non-aggression agreement. Chen felt a surge of triumph, but she kept her voice steady. And what about the species currently fighting for freedom throughout your empire? Vorthak was quiet for a long moment. That is a complex issue. It's a simple issue, Chen replied. Grant independence to any species that wants it. Help us establish a new galactic government based on voluntary cooperation instead of conquest. Or continue fighting a war that's destroying your empire. The IA connection went silent for several minutes. When Vorthak returned, his expression had changed. Commander Chen, the Hegemony Council has been in emergency session. We accept your proposal. The words that followed would reshape the galaxy forever. The hegemony of stellar dominions hereby recognizes the independence of Earth and any species that chooses to join what you call the Free Worlds Alliance. We will withdraw our forces from any system that declares independence. We will provide assistance in establishing new governments based on the principles you have demonstrated. Chen felt tears in her eyes. And if we refuse this offer? Then we continue a war that will destroy both of us, while our mutual enemies grow stronger in the chaos. 6 months later, Commander Chen stood on the observation deck of the Indomitable Spirit, humanity's first faster-than-light starship. Through the windows, she could see the delegates from 47 different species arriving for the founding conference of the Free Worlds Alliance. The Kythera had been the first to join. Their crystal-based technology combined with human creativity had produced defensive systems that made them nearly invulnerable. The Zenthi followed, bringing agricultural knowledge that could feed entire star systems. One by one, species that had been slaves for centuries were becoming allies and friends. Dr. Vasquez joined her at the window. Hard to believe it's only been 2 years since that first alien message. 2 years since they called Earth a minor world, Chen corrected. What do they call it now? Chen smiled as she watched a Hegemony transport dock with their station. It carried the final group of Hegemony officials who were defecting to join the Alliance. They don't call Earth anything now, she said. They call it the world that changed everything. Admiral Zixth walked slowly through the corridors of the Alliance headquarters station. His career with the Hegemony was over, but he had been offered a position as military advisor to the Alliance Defense Force. He stopped at a viewing window and looked out at Earth, the blue and green world that had destroyed an empire through sheer stubborn refusal to surrender. A human technician was working nearby. Zixith had learned enough about human expressions to recognize curiosity. You're one of the original Hegemony commanders, aren't you? The human asked. I am. I was there when we first scanned your world. What did you think when you saw us? Zixith considered the question carefully. We thought you were primitives, barely intelligent. We classified you as a minor world, suitable only for resource extraction and basic labor. And now, Zixith looked at the human, remembering the battles, the impossible victories, the way this species had turned their entire solar system into a weapon and then convinced half the galaxy to join their cause. Now, he said quietly, now we know better. The human smiled and returned to work. Zixith continued to stare out at Earth, the minor world that had become the center of a new galactic civilization. In the end, the Hegemony had been right about one thing. Earth had indeed been their destruction, but it had also been their salvation. The age of conquest was over. The age of cooperation had begun, and it had all started with a species that refused to accept that impossible odds were really impossible. They had surveyed 1,000 worlds, conquered 100 species, and ruled half the galaxy for 3,000 years. But they had never encountered anything quite like humanity, a species that considered impossible odds to be merely a challenge, and certain defeat to be simply another problem to solve. The way minor world had become the major power and the galaxy would never be the same.